The live stream is still picking up. We'll be starting in just a moment. All right, our live stream is up and running. Good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to start our service on page 6 of our Siddurim. So once again, we'll be starting on page 6 of our Siddurim with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashayre, Malachei El Elyon. Mi melech malachei Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, malachei Hashalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi melech malachei Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barhuni l'shalom, malachei Hashalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi melech malachei Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem l'shalom, malachei Hashalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi melech malachei Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 7 of our Siddurim. I'd like to invite up Pam to light our Shabbos candles. Thank you.
Come, let us welcome Shabbat.
May its radiance illuminate our hearts.
Light is the symbol of the divine.
The eternal is my light and my salvation.
Light is the symbol of the divine within us.
The human spirit is the light of the eternal.
Light is the symbol of the divine law.
For the mitzvah is a lamp and the Torah a light.
Light is the symbol of Israel's mission.
I, the eternal, have made you a covenant people, a light to the nations.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, O eternal our God, who makes our lives holy through divine mitzvot and has commanded us to kindle the Shabbat lamp. May the eternal bless us with Shabbat joy.
Amen.
May the eternal bless us with Shabbat peace.
Amen.
May the eternal bless us with Shabbat holiness.
Amen. We're going to now turn to page 9 of our Siddurim for Lechai Doidi. Lechai Doidi, Likrakala, Yarada, 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 B'nei Shabbat. Nekavela, Lechai Doidi, Likrakala, Yarada, 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 B'nei Shabbat. Nekavela, Shamor, B'Zachor, B'Dibor, Echad. Ishmiyanu Echad Nuchad Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad Lishem Otiferet B'Litihila Lechai Doidi Likrakala Yarada 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekavela Lechai Doidi Likrakala Yarada 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekavela Likra Shabbat Lechu B'necha Ki Mekor Abracha Merosh Mikedem Nesuka Sof Ma'asa B'Maksha Tehila Lechai Doidi Likra Kala Yarada 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekavela Lechai Doidi Likra Kala Yarada 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekavela Hi Ori Kiva Ore Kumi Ori Shir Daveri Kavod Adonai Alai Negila Lechai Doidi Likrakala Yarada 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekavela Lechai Doidi Likrakala Yarada 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 B'nei Shabbat Nekavela. Now we face the entrance or exit of our building as we welcome in the Shabbos bride. Boi v'shalom aseret ba'ala gam b'simcha u'b'tzola toch emune am sigula boi kala lech aigodi likrakala yara b'nei Shabbat Nekabela alech aidoti likrakala yadada b'nei Shabbat. Nekabela. Remain standing now to Hatzi Kaddish found on page 11 of our Sidurins. Yitkadal v'yitkadal shemei Rabba. B'yomadi brahirutei v'yamlech ma'chutei. B'chayechonu v'yoimechonu v'yedecho beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'izman kari yemaru. Amen. Yeheshmei Rabba mivorach. Le'olam olam almaya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitfa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shanei kudusha b'rechu le'olam yinkol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram yalma yemaru. Amen. Page 12 of our Sidurins, we join together for the Baruchu. Baruchu et Adonai Hamivorach. Baruch Adonai Hamivorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamivorach le'olam va'ed. Page 13, we'll join together in the English translation together. Eternal God, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, now let your glory depart from us. Help us become co-workers with you, and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ari Baravim. Blessed are you, O Eternal, who brings on the evening. Page 14, we'll join together for Avat Olam. Avat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Havta Torah Mitzvot Hukim Ushbatim Otanu Lemadeta Al Ken Adonai Eloheinu B'Shochbeinu Ukumeinu Natsiach B'Chulkecha V'Nismach B'Divrei Toratecha U'V'Mitzvotecha Le'olam Va'ed Ki Hem Chayenu V'Orach Yameinu V'Chem Negeh Yomam V'Leila V'Achata Atasim Mimenu Le'olamim Baruch Atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. At the bottom of the page, we join together in English. Eternal God, you loved us, your people, the house of Israel, Torah and commandments, statutes and judgments you taught us. Therefore, O eternal our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will discuss your statutes and rejoice in the words of your Torah and your commandments forever. For they are our lives and they lengthen our days, and we will meditate upon them day and night. May you never remove your love from us forever and ever. Blessed are you, O Eternal, who loves God's people, Israel. Page 15, we join together for the Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated for the V'Ahavta on page 16. V'Ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatan levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'beitecha u'b'leitecha b'derech u'shachlecha u'komecha Ukshatan leot al yadecha, ve'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uktatam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha. Leman tizkeru b'asitem ekol mitzvotai, v'tem kiroshim lelechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, le'ot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, and thanks. Page 17, we'll join together for a responsive reading. Eternal truth is that you alone are God, and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares.
Let them beat their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation. Let them study war no more.
You shall not hate another in your heart. You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Let the stranger be in your midst, you as the native, for you were once strangers in the land of Egypt.
From the house of bondage we went forth to freedom, so let all be free to sing with joy.
We join together on page 18 for Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha, Baalim Adonai, Micha Mocha, Nedar by Kodesh, Nora Tehilot, Osei Fele, Machutecha Ra'u Banecha, Bokeyam Lifnei Moshe, Ze Eli Anu V'Amru, Adonai Yimloch Leolam Ba'ed, ונאמר כי פרענו את יעקב ולאמר חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Yisrael. Page 19 will join together once again for a responsive reading. Cause us, O eternal our God, to lie down in peace and to awaken us each morning to life renewed with strength. Spread over us the holy shelter of your peace.
Help us to order our lives by your counsel and lead us in the paths of righteousness. Be a shield about us, protecting us from hate and war, from pestilence and sorrow.
Curb also within us the inclination to do evil, and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Guard our going out and our coming into life with peace from this time forth forever.
Blessed are you, O Eternal, whose holy shelter of peace is spread over us, over all God's people of Israel and over Jerusalem.
Page 20 will join together for Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasod et ha-Shabbat ledoretan berit olam Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasod et ha-Shabbat ledoretan berit olam B'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasod et ha-Shabbat le'doretan berit olam. Ki sheit yamim asa Adonai et kol shamayim v'et haaretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasod et ha-Shabbat ledoretan berit olam ubayom hashvi'i Shabbat v'nafash Shabbat v'nafash, Shabbat v'nafash, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasod et ha-Shabbat ledoretan berit olam. We now rise for Tefillah, the Amidah prayer, which may be found on page 21 of our Siddurim. Adonai sefatai titahu fi yagid tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Belohei Avoteinu Ve'imotzeinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaNorah El Elyon Gomel Chasanim Tovim V'konei HaKol V'zocher Chazdei Avot V'imahot U'mevi Ge'ula Livnei Menayhem L'man Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Abraham Ve'Azrat Sarah Atah Gibor Li'olam Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Rab Le'Hoshia Mashivo Ruach Marit HaGeshem Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Ve'ofech Olim Umatir Asurim Omekayem Emunaso Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'gibirot Umidom Melach Melech Memid, Omechayei, Omatzmiach Yeshua, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש בשם הקדוש הקדושים בכל יום יהללו כסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We bow silently until page 29 where we'll join together for Oseh Shalom. Now join together for Oseh Shalom on page 29 of our Sidurims, page 29 of our Sidurims. Oseh Shalom bimromav, uyaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'yemeru amen. All right, we'll try to keep you. We'll try to keep you. All right, so you usually come specifically with a little bit of information about our Torah reading of this week. Liz, did you bring any information about our Torah reading, our Torah portion of this week? This week, the email that went out had the correct Torah questions, so everyone can be rest assured if they read the questions, they'll know a little bit about this week's Torah portion.
I read it.
You did? Okay. Did anything strike you?
Something about, it was about Moses, and God telling Moses, not
It's okay. It's okay. I don't want to put you on the spot. Does anyone know anything about this week's Torah portion? A little bit about this week's Torah portion. Parshat Be'era. You read it? Okay.
Oh, good.
I read it.
You didn't retain it.
All right.
Yeah, I read it.
it yesterday and today.
Oh.
Oh, good.
Some of that,
That's
they
twice as
listened,
many times as I've read.
they weren't listening to Moses.
Okay. Yes. So you've struck upon what I'll be addressing a little bit today in my Torah discussion. Okay. So Moshe Rabbeinu, he goes before Pharaoh. He doesn't go once, twice. He goes several times, and it is in this week's Torah portion we see the birth as we know it as the Jewish people in many different ways for that reason. Because we have the call to our people, let my people go, but with it, something that is equally important, and that is the very persistence of the Jewish people. So, let my people go. This phrase is repeated again and again in this week's Torah portion. Moshe and Aaron, they go before Pharaoh on behalf of Am Yisrael, the people of Israel, to plead for their permission to leave Mitzrayim of Egypt and wander that desert to freedom to Eretz Yisrael. However, plagues, they befall Egypt, and Pharaoh's heart gets hardened with each of those. In this week's Torah portion, Moshe goes before Pharaoh 5 times, pleading, let my people go, in Hebrew, shalach et ami. But with each of the plagues, Pharaoh grows more spiteful of Am Yisrael, the people of Israel. Again and again is the story of our Jewish people, our people. And the story, our story of Exodus, is retold in this week's Torah reading, but it sets the tone, the very tone for our people into the modern era. Our story of again and again has repeated itself for thousands of years in our history. We suffered, we were victims again and again. Ruthless tyrants have risen to power. They've deprived us of humanity and freedom in our very lives. But we have also repeatedly stood up to tyrants, to pharaohs, and to demagogues against our people and all people. So notice in our Torah reading, Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron, they don't go just before Pharaoh once or even twice. They go before Pharaoh again and again. They were persistent. They did not give up, just as I alluded to earlier. They endured and prevailed, and so too did our people, and that is the story of our people. One side of our story cannot be complete without the other. Again and again is the story of our victims, but also of our perseverance. But how and where does this story begin? How do we end up becoming victims again and again? And some question it is our very chosenness to this effect. Is it the gift of our chosenness that attracts the hatred of others? Some of you may know the poet, a Yiddish poet named Katya Malawski. You may know her because her poem is very poignant. It appears in a few films. I believe it appeared even in the film Defiance. And she wrote in the immediate wake of the Shoah, God of mercy, choose another people. We are tired of death, tired of corpses. We have no more prayers. Sanctify another land, another Sinai. We have covered every field with stone, with ashes and holiness. We've paid for each letter of your commandment. Look at the other peoples of the world. Let them have the prophecies and holy days. Who mumble your every word in every tongue, let them be taught the deeds and ways of our people. However, others, such as Robert Rischis, he's a critically acclaimed expert on anti-Semitism, suggested the story of again and again begins historically in a historical context, and it begins in this week's Torah reading specifically. In his book, Anti-Semitism, The Longest Hatred, the origin of the most pervasive hatred, that is of anti-Semitism, begins with the prevailing belief that began in Egypt, and that was encapsulated in the 3rd century BCE by an Egyptian priest, Manetho, who later on would inherit the other historians from Egypt as well as Greece would inherit the nasty belief system that he would bear, and presented the Hebrews as a race of lepers that had been cast out of Egypt during the days of Moshe himself. Now, some of you may be familiar with various theological approaches that explain both anti-Semitism as well as this week's Torah portion and how and why we may have been forced out of Egypt to begin with. We talk about that year to year. Some may find those explanations captivating, others find them very challenging. But I'd like to draw attention to the historical context once again. Again and again is the very story of our heroic fight against evil and us standing up against oppressors around us. And only a few months ago, Jewish political organizations, and one of them known as Never Again Action, began an aggressive campaign of civil disobedience and nonviolent methods to protest immigration and custom enforcement. And it revived the 1980s campaign aphorism of never again and never again is now. And as of 2020, the group had protested at 31 facilities spread across the United States and resulting in 80 arrests. Those numbers have since grown. So Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron, they go before Pharaoh several times in this week's Torah portion, and they, even after dismissed, they continue to go before him again and again. They did not give up. They took a stand against oppression. They spoke out. They played an active role for our people. Because of them, we were ultimately redeemed from oppression. So again and again, ruthless tyrants have deprived us of our humanity, our freedom, and our lives. Again and again, we've stood up against those tyrants, the tyrants of our people. To say never again is now. The moment we throw up our hands to give up or become complacent in the presence of baseless hatred, that is of sinat hinam or subhuman bondage, and of slavery or of anti-Semitism, it is the moment we've forgotten the narrative of again and again. We cannot minimize anti-Semitism or dismiss the upcoming days which we'll be observing International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And our victims' narrative must be affirmed, must be continued to be affirmed by our people. Otherwise, we will alienate our victims from the truth of our own narratives. Our narrative, instead, must always read that we have read as this week's Torah portion has taught us. Again and again, tyrants have risen up against us, and again we have prevailed. And we only prevail if we are persistent. We must not be complacent. We must not excuse anti-Semitism, and we need an overwhelming voice to say, never again. It is today and now. Can you hear it, son? May it be God's will. Amen.
Amen.
So our thoughts now turn to members of our community who are in need of a healing of mind, body, and or of spirit. In just a moment, I'll be reciting names from our Misha Berak list. Our Misha Berak list has been updated as of today. However, if there are any additional names anyone would like to have added to the list that is being read aloud today, please share with us those names so that we as one community may pray for a healing of mind, body, and or of spirit of your loved ones. Today's Misha Berak list includes the following names: Miriam Mendel ben Shira, Nachman ben Malka, Shlomo Leib ben Malka, Yisrael Reuven ben Devorah Alka, Alan Lewis, Esther Bat Ruth, Yehuda ben Joseph, Russ Paneri, Gerald Longmore, Ceci Kurland, Isidore Schiffman, Yvette Samos, Michael Berkowitz, Susan Sklar, David Rothschild, Ellen Rosenbaum, and Holly Matthews, Jessica Herman, Phil Miller, John Zwally, Brian Leibowitz, Lynn Ginsberg, Sam Perlman, Erwin Lenchner, Saren Lenchner, Stanley Levitt, Myra Levis, Rabbi Alan Daroff, Kelly Grusta, Wendy Sansevieri, Sharon Lenchner, Jen Fruchtel, and Gerald Longmore. Are there any additional names anyone would like to have added to the list for today?
Carol Lichtenstein.
Carol Lichtenstein,
Dolly and Roger Bloomfield.
Dolly and Roger Bloomfield,
Corky Hockenberry.
Corky Hockenberry,
Harriet Halcyon
Harriet Halcyon,
and Eric Waxmansky.
Harriet
Halcyon
Pancione,
and then Eric Waxmansky.
Eric
Waxmansky.
Waxmansky. Okay. Yes.
Lois Flamholtz
Lois Flamholtz,
and Gabriel Lebecki.
Gabriel Levecki. Are there any additional names? Okay. We will now rise for the Misha Berak prayer found at the very back of our siddurees. Misha Berak Avotenu Mekor Abrita Ve'avotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berak Imotenu Mekor Avrecha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We'll remain standing now for the Elenu prayer found on page 30 of our Sidurians. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol ateit gedula liotze breshit shalo atzai kigie aratzot velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama shalo sam kalkinu kahem v'gor aleinu kikol hamonam v'anachnu kurim umishkachamim umodim lifnei melech malkei amlachim akadosh baruch hu She'onetei shamayim v'yosid haaretz u'moshe v'yekaro b'shamayim mima'al u'shchinatu zo b'govei meroimim hu Eloheinu ein od emet malkeinu epizulato kakatu b'torato v'yadata hayom v'hoshivota el avivecha ki Adonai hu Elohim Bashamayim nima'al V'yal ha'aretz mitzvot Ein od, page 31. We therefore hope in you, O eternal our God, soon to behold the splendor of your might. Then will false gods vanish from the earth, and the idols will be utterly cut off to heal the world through the sovereignty of the Almighty. Then will all acclaim you as their God, and forsaking evil turn to you alone. Let all who dwell on earth acknowledge that unto you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you, O eternal our God, let them humble themselves to your glorious name, let them give honor. Let all accept the yoke of your dominion, that you may rule over them soon and forever. For the dominion is yours, and you will rule in glory, as it is written, the eternal will reign forever and ever. V'nemar v'haya Adonai, v'melech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Men stand now for the Mourner's Kaddish found on 33 of our Sidurians. Once again, the Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 33 of our Sidurians. In just a moment, I'll be reciting names from our Yortzeit list, as well as members of our community who have recently passed. If you are in the period of Shloshim or observing a Yortzeit after the names have been read aloud, please share with us the name of your loved one or family relative, so that we as one community may pray for the elevation of their neshama, of their soul to the Shemayim, the heavens above. Recently passed from our community is Stephen Lichtenstein. As well, we have Len Smolin. Our Yortzeit list for today includes the following names: Etta Spivak, Mark Huberman, Dina Lerner, Howard Barron, Harry Hires, Daniel Wander, Aaron Salewitz, Jerome Pollitt, George Feldman, Raquel Boyer, Jerome Roth, Pauline Schwerb, Leonard Goodman, Clarence Manziano, Howie Korn, Charles Fleshig, Marty Pine, Jay Fox, Ruth Levinson, Beatrice Korn, Harry Gottmacher, Beatrice Bodock, Leo Blumenstock, Ann Longmore, Louis Rothberg, Edward Spivak, Bertha Friedman, Sheila Lewis, Bernice Peck, Cecile Libros, Young Ao Chu, Morris Cohen, Gary Friedman, Stephen Finkel, Simeon Barron, Molly Netterman, Shirley Watang, Jeffrey Suslowitz. Are there any additional names anyone is observing a Yortzeit for or in the period of Shoshima?
Zoe Levinson,
Zoe Levinson,
Patrick Callahan.
Patrick Callahan,
Michael Pollock.
Michael Pollock,
Gail Marcus.
Gail Marcus,
Muriel Sheffrin.
Muriel Shefflin,
Sheffrin.
Sheffrin. Are there any additional names? Okay. The words to the Mourner's Kaddish can be found on 33 of our Sidurians. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei rabah, v'alma divrach yerusei v'yamlich machusei, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei decho beis Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen, yahei shmei rabah mevorach le'lom olamei elmaya, yisbarach v'yishtabach v'yispa'ar v'yisramam v'yisnasei, v'yishadar v'yishaleh v'yishalal shemei v'kudashah b'reichu, Wa'ela min kol birchasa v'shirasha tush bechasa v'nechemasa damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabbamin shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav huya aseh shalom aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved, and let us say, Amen. You may be seated. We now have a moment for some announcements.
That for you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos.
Saturday, January 13th, Shabbat morning Torah study, 10 o'clock a.m., worship 10:30. New office hours Tuesday through Fridays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Matt Mediyam is now on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Abdallah dinner and cabaret Saturday, February 3rd, 3:15 p.m. RSVP. 5:15. 5:15? Okay. Can you imagine people showing up at 3:15? RSVP on weekly email by January 24th. More information on weekly email. Information for donations to Israel and for spring programs for the Allen and Joan Biner Center and for Social Action News can be found on the weekly email. Hebrew School January 17th and 20th, Gesher January 18th and 25th, Student Shabbat January 20th. International Holocaust Day Service January 26th, and the Rickless meeting will be January 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to turn now to page 34 of our Siddurim for Adon Olam. Any more announcements, by the way? Anything? No? Okay. Page 34. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nibra Li'et Nasa V'chevzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra B'yachat Rei Kilot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hodeh V'hu Yeh B'tif Ara V'hu Echad V'en Sheni V'amshi Lo L'Hachbira B'li Reishi B'li Tachli V'lo Ha'oz V'hamizra V'hu Eli V'chai Goali V'tzor Heli V'yesara V'hu Nisi Umanos Li Menat Kosi V'yom Ekra V'ya'ado Akid Ruchi V'yeti Shan V'ya'ira V'imruchi Geviati Adonai Li V'lo Ira. Good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Who would like to lead us is in the Kiddush as well as for the Chomotzi today. Stephen is not here. He usually leads us.
Stephen